And safety inspection sheet comes laminated. This is a 740 Bravo. This is our particular one. It's 805. And this is the, I believe, going to be a daily inspection sheet or an every 10 hours inspection sheet. And it starts here on the front with overall machine. So around the overall machine, you want to look for loose, missing nuts, bolts, loose guards, and cleanliness. I got it out in the field. You can only get it so clean, but you know, cleanliness helps out. Lights. So with the lights, because this is inspecting from the ground, you want to turn the master on and you want to look at the lights and turn on all the lights, and you're seeing if they work correctly, because there's headlights here and turn markers here, and I think, yep, those are all good. And then in the rear there's turn and brake and backup lights. So none of those are broke, and they all look possibly like they could work. So brakes and suspension. So back here, this bar, both the ends, you're looking to make sure they're not tore up or coming apart. The bar here, you're looking to make sure it's kind of in the center and that they're not, the seal and things are not coming apart. The brakes, this axle doesn't have any brakes here, but that axle does there in front. We can go around there real quick. This axle has brakes behind the cover and up underneath there, and you're looking for leaks, you're looking for damage or wear, like here on this part of the suspension. And so coming forward, and we're looking for damage or problems with the suspension. So tires, rims, locking ring, hub, and valve stems. So obviously this is a tire. This one's actually in pretty good shape. It's a little low. This is the valve stem. This is a locking lug. It's dirty, but it locks the rim in place so it doesn't slip. There's a ring here, and there's seals inside there. So if you hear it hissing or something like that, let us know. If this looks like it's hissing or leaking or wet, this is the valve stem, let us know. And if it's flat like this, let us know. Steering rods and cylinders. Cylinders are right here. So this is the steer cylinder because it's hinged here in the middle. So this end, that one's got good grease on it. It's not leaking here at the seal. And that one's got good grease on it. And the lines look okay as they go up here. And that's a little damp right there. Alright. And there's one on each side. Suspension system mounts and cylinders. If you look in here, suspension system mounts. Here's the suspension cylinder. You should see a gap. And here's the top of the cylinder. So you should see a little bit of clean rod, and you want to be sure that this is not out of place, and it's not, that this area right here, that it's not touching. Because if it's touching, then that means the bearing is gone underneath here. So there's loose bolts and holes in the exhaust. Exhaust being here as it goes up, and the exhaust as it goes forward. It goes all the way forward. Body. Damage, wear, and distortion is what we're looking for. We don't put any fenders on it because you guys tear them off. But we're looking for problems with that, problems here. Wearing a little bit. Problems with the, where it doesn't close. Problems back here with wear. This is just the overall general looking for problems with the body as you do a walk around. It doesn't look too good. A bit of wear. Fuel tank, hydraulic tank. Hydraulic tank levels are here on the side of each one of these. There's the master switch and another hydraulic tank level. The fuel is over here. As I look at the camera, be sure to put the fuel cap back on, please. And this will tell you a level here without having to turn the machine on. Underneath middle machine, steering hydraulic system. We were already there. We're looking for fluid level, leaks, worn hoses, damaged lines. So this being the steering, and we'd already looked here, we're looking for the worn lines here, because that's part of the steering system. Those are the lines that go across, and we did not see anything. Stop pads, drive shaft U-joints. So these are the stop pads. We want to be sure they're still there. Okay, and then here's a U-joint. Here's the U-joint. You're making sure that all the bolts are still in it and they're not loose. Here's the U-joint and a very good picture of that bolt that you want to be sure is still seated. Inch pin lugs and steering cylinder lugs, which should be right here. This is the steer cylinder, and we are looking for lubrication and cracks. It looks like it's getting lubricated pretty good. It's a little dirty to see any cracks, but you would definitely notice it. Articulation frame and spherical bearing. So inside here is where it articulates and has a spherical bearing. So you're looking for cracks and you're looking to make sure it's lubricated, which again goes back under here. In here I see it's got some lubrication. It's got a little dirt on it, but I don't see any cracks. Try underneath there. It's got good lubrication, and I'm seeing the bolts are there, and I don't see any problems with them. A-frame and axle mountings. This looks like an A-frame. Here's the pivot, and it looks like it has clearance. And then here's the axle mountings. And we can look on the back side to make sure the bolts are all there. It doesn't look like any of the hoses are hurt. So, and it has an A-frame on this one, and there's an A-frame on the second one. But that one's okay. And then here's the other A-frame. And its bearing looks lubricated. It looks okay. See, here's the back one and the bolts on it. And while you're checking these is because as you see this last axle is all cleaned off, all the paint's cleaned off, all the rocks and dirt and everything. And we're making sure that it doesn't hurt the axle and its mounting. And mountings, just like what we showed earlier, this is the stabilizer rod and its mount. Broken, damaged, bent or broken or loose is what we're looking for here on both ends. There's one inside here, and there's one up in the front also. It looks exactly like the one on the back axle. Steering frame and hoist block. So you're looking for damaged, broken, or correct position. This is still part of the steering frame here, and being in the straight position, it looks in good shape. The hoist block is here. So if you have to put the hoist up for any reason or work underneath it or whatever, this is the lock that sits in the seat here so that you can clean underneath there, or she can do any kind of work back here on the back of it. And it looks like it's in good shape and is not hurt. This is hoist and brake system oil. There are two reservoirs on here. One's hydraulic and one's hoist and brake system. And if you look very carefully, there is lines here in the middle, here at the top where it's just about over full, here in the middle where it's supposed to be closer to, and then here at the near the bottom where you need to fill it up and let us know. So here in the middle is fine. Expect it to be a little higher if the vehicle's been run, because the vehicle warms up, but it should always be in the sight glass. It should never be this low. Hoist and frame. Okay, frame and hoist cylinders, rod eyes. They've looked at this a couple different times already, but this is the hoist cylinder. There's one on each side. These are the rod eyes, and that one looks in good shape. It's not sitting down on the frame yet. And then up here, this one looks like it's centered pretty good, and it has good lubrication. So you look for cracks, leaks, damage, and wear. So the hoist cylinder bearings and wiper seals, here is the wiper seal, and you're looking for, is it worn or leaks? And there's no leaks on this one. And so then underneath the rear machine, all axles and inside the rear wheels. So you're looking for leaks, damage, wear, suspension, and loose bolts. Essentially what it's asking you to do is crawl underneath here and do exactly what we've been doing, as far as you can look at the mounting of the hub, make sure there's nothing loose. You can look at the backside mounting here and make sure there's nothing loose. Make sure there's no leaks in this area. You can look, if you can see through the top up there. Yep. You can look through this area here and make sure those lines are okay. And down here you can make sure these lines are okay, because you're looking for leaks and anything else. And you can do that on this axle, the next axle, and the axle in front of it. Welding, castings, and mounting bolts. You're looking for cracked, damaged bolts or pads. So here is hoist pads. So when it comes down or when it's loaded, those pads protect the frame. And so you're looking for busted bolts and weldments being broken along here. And here's some other mounting for the bed. So the next is backup alarm, lights, and towing pin. You're looking for function, broken, or dirt buildup. So here's the towing pin, the backup lights. Give the camera a wipe. Pivot pins on the bed, they are right here. Make sure they're greased, they're function, and that they don't have a whole lot of play. There's the grease point. Body and frame, no cracks in welds or weld seams. That's all the way along here. So there's weldment here. There's a weld on the other side. There's weld plate up in here. Weldment across here. Anywhere you can see a weld or pieces come together, just take a quick look and make sure it's not coming apart. Here's the mounting. We've not seen, there's mounting here, pin mounting. Just a quick look We've not seen anything come apart yet. Just all apart. Some of them are more critical than others. Dump body, tailgate, rear frame. Bed welds, cracks, distortion, bending within bed and pads. We just ran over that. Here's the other side with the bed pads and distortion. The same thing with they said the tailgate here. There's a little gap here, but that's fine. We're not looking, we're looking for an excessive gap that would tell us that something's bent or hurt. And it's not that bad. Looking for the mounting. Here where this attaches. And lubrication. This one can stand a little lubrication, it looks like. And then the mounting again. This does not have an ejector bed. This does not have an ejector guide in the battery compartment. So with the hood up from the ground, this is the battery compartment. It is bolted on, but you can still look in here, and if you're careful, you can look and see that if there's any corrosion on the covers or on top of the battery, just make sure it's good. These are maintenance-free batteries, and so then you don't have to worry about adding water or anything of the sort to them. Just check and make sure there's not corrosion. Diesel exhaust fluid. This particular machine does not have diesel exhaust fluid. So, from the engine and steering compartment. So we're looking at the steering hydraulic tank, lines, and hoses. So on top of the machine, that is the hood button. He's got the master power on. Okay. You open the hood. Underneath this panel is the two hydraulic tanks. 1, 2. It says no leaks in tanks, lines, or hoses. Looks like this one is vented a little bit. I believe that's alright. But there's no leaks on the hoses, where it goes down this way into the motor and goes this way under the catwalk. It looks alright. I don't see any excessive leaks. It's just a little vent. It says cap, breather cap, clean filter, breather cap clean, not blocked, sight gauge on right side of tank. That's here. So the sight gauge over here that we saw earlier, it's clean and looks good. Engine and transmission level. So the engine level is right here. This is the engine oil dipstick. That level is full. This is checked with the engine stop. As you see, the level is full. This is the transmission. Twist the knob to make it loose. It comes out. Now in this one, it has a cold oil safe to start. Okay? So if it's up here and your engine is cold, it's safe to start. Once you start it, at low idle down here, that fluid should be in this range. You check it running in neutral. Okay? It should be in that range. If it is not in that range running, let us know. Hoses is the next one. Cracks, wear spots, and leaks. There are a boatload of hoses all over this motor. So the critical ones that I see are the ones that make a rub anywhere. This is a heater hose. These are pressure hoses for some of the systems. There is hoses here for some of the cooling. These are the fuel lines on this corner as they come across here. And they come across here for the hydraulic set. There's hoses back here. You're looking for cracks, wear spots, and leaks. This is on this corner. This is to deal with the steering. So, all belts. On this particular vehicle, there's only one belt. And it's here, under that cover, and it's the alternator belt. And that one looks pretty good and looks tight. Windshield washer reservoir. That's right there. You guys filled it up. Air filters, fuel filters, hoses and lines for cleanliness, blockages, and leaks. Air filter here. Little valve. Has an inner and an outer. That one can stand to be dusted out. Yeah. If you've been with us, that one needs a courtesy call. If you've been with us for any kind of time, you know that us and maintenance come out every 50 hours as best we can, and we blast out the filters and we look the machine over. This one's due a courtesy call. Water separator mounting and brackets. So part of the fuel filters, which these are the secondary, this is the primary. This is right here a water separator glass. And so if you look down in here and see water and excessive dirt, let us know. That actually looks good and clean. Torque converter and transmission oil. That's the transmission oil we just looked at. Fuel. Here, this big monster is the engine oil filter. And this one's good and clean. And then those are the two lines that run over to the side of the engine. Lines, hoses, fans, and welds. Looking for leaks, worn spots, and hoses and trash buildup. There's a fan here. There's lines to it. Make sure the plastic's not broke. Check the mounting. Check to make sure there's not a bunch of trash in front of them. Those look good. So in the back here, the torque converter and transmission oil. Torque converter and transmission oil. It is right here. Here's the fill. This is the torque converter and drop box back here. And that oil is right there. See the little stick? So twist a little knob, pull the stick out. This one has an engine running hot level, and as far as cold, it looks in good shape. So the next bracketry on here is on the machine outside the cabs. So it looks at handrails, grab bars, no damage, bends, brakes, and the mounting bolts are secure. So there's mounting bolts here, handrails, grab bars, mounting bolts. Walkways and tread up on top here, clear mud, debris, and tripping hazards. So I know you guys like loading a lot of dirt, but these should be relatively clean because you're going to walk up and down these. You don't want to slip and fall because of a big dirt clog. Windshield, wipers, and blades. Wear, damaged, and functional. So all the windshields and windows, the blades up front there, it's kind of self-explanatory. You give it a wipe and make sure they work good. Mirrors, to be clean, free of damage, and adjusted. These are adjustable. There's 3 on this side, and should be 2 on the other side. Inside the cab. First thing on inside the cab is overall cleanliness. This thing could stand a little sweeping, but it's good shape. Gauges, lights, and switches. So all your lights and switches in here, you're looking for if they're damaged and if they work correctly. The same thing with the gauges. Do the gauges come on when you turn the key on? And do all the switches, the park brake here, and these work correctly? The seat for the correct adjustment and pedal reach. So here's your pedals, the seat. You can adjust it. Up, forward, back. Actually has a multitude of adjustments. Horn, backup, alarm, and lights for proper function. So the horn, the backup lights in the back, and alarm. So when you turn the key on, you'll hear the alarm. You're looking for proper function. Air cabin filter. So right here at my feet is the cabin air filter. We come and see that on our courtesy calls, and we'll blow that out. There's one on the outside panel exactly in the same area, and you just want to be sure if your AC is not blowing real effectively, take this out, very gently tap the dirt out of it, and see if that'll help. And so the very last thing is ROPS, as they call it, or rollover protection system. So the whole thing here, the whole cab is designed for rollover protection. And so as you look at this, look for any busted cracks, welds, or anything in the where you see a mounting or a welding. You're just looking to see that it's still in good shape, and both inside and outside. So all the way around here, how it mounts. Just looking for busted welds and the cab pins. So if you have any questions, obviously your first line supervisor is your first question. If you have any concerns, your first line supervisor is your first line of defense. And if they have anything, then they will get in contact with us.